Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. Today, another special video. They're always special, right? My videos. Anyhow, you're gonna get to see a demo of the new DIY Detail Rinseless Wash version 2. What's different about it compared to V1? How can you tell the difference, first of all, because the labels are still the same. And you're going to hear all the details, of course, of the chemistry, but we're also going to do a demo on a dirty vehicle, because oftentimes people say, oh, rinseless washes, I only often see them demoed on a clean vehicle, but as we can see here, this Jeep has been through mud, rain, bug guts, crazy galore. So we're going to do a demo on this. On the bumper here, you can tell all that kind of stuff. On the windshield, there's so many bugs that died on there. They sacrificed themselves for this video. So before I turn the camera over to somebody that you might know as an expert in rinseless washes, I want to let you know that all these tools, products, and equipment, I'll link them in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Also, quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. Nobody paid for this video. We're just here to share this cool new tech that's available right now. And to do so, my special guest today is none other than the man himself. You guys love seeing him on the channel. Ivan LaCroix from DIY Detail. Ivan, how are you?
Very good.
Well, I'm feeling better now that I see the rinseless V2, because V1 was already top tier. And visually, we can see the difference. This is V1 here, so what was left over, you can see how clear this is. And the difference, Ivan, with V2, I can see that it's kind of this milky yellow appearance. Can you tell us more about it? What did you guys change? What's the chemistry? Give us the whole 9 yards on it.
So we've actually been working on V2 for about 2 years. So we launched V1 2 years ago, and we already started working on V2. Polymers have changed to the better, and in doing so, we were able to update the polymer package to give it more lubricity, make it so it feels slicker to the touch, but still maintaining our level of cleanliness, meaning that it doesn't leave anything on the surface. So it has surfactants and polymers. The surfactants always win in the end. Meaning,
so that's why you guys called it a hybrid, right? Because it has surfactants and polymers.
Correct.
Can you touch on that quickly, the differences? Because there are some rinseless washes that are heavy on the polymers, and that leaves some protection behind sometimes. Some rinseless washes that are heavier on the surfactants with no protection.
Yeah.
So what are the differences between both types?
So the surfactant-based rinseless washes will give you a bit of foaming, which this one does, but they also give you a clean that's very different. They typically don't leave anything on the surface, so you can actually use them as a panel prep. The polymer-based ones leave something. There's some that have SiO2, there's some that have graphene, there's some that just have different pre-polymers in them, but they leave a little bit of protection on the surface. It's not long-lasting protection. You're not going to get months out of it. It's good till the next wash. What we've decided to do is give you the lubricity or the lubrication of the polymers and also the emulsification of the polymer. So it helps to break down and emulsify the bug guts, things like that. But we also have the surfactants. The surfactants are there to give you even more of that strength, to give you more of that, digging in and breaking stuff up. But we have the, not only the emulsification, but the encapsulation that comes with the polymers. So basically, let's say you have a water that's got 500 TDS. You don't need to use distilled water. You can just use regular tap water. It doesn't soften the water. And that is a misconception in the industry, that a rinseless wash softens the water. It doesn't soften the water, but it encapsulates the minerals, rendering them useless.
Okay, got it. And so this one here, you're a hybrid because there's surfactants and polymers. However, it's more surfactant heavy. That's why it leaves nothing in the end, right?
Exactly. We don't want it leaving anything on the surface other than the surface itself. So before a ceramic coating, you can use this without any worries, to wipe off your polish residue. It's not going to leave anything behind that's going to impede your ceramic coating or your sealant or your wax or whatever from bonding.
And for those who are wondering, like V1 that we see here, that was more this translucent color,
yeah,
this still had great lubrication on the surface, meaning that it did not scratch or mar the surface. But you spoke that you updated the polymer packages on this one for a better lubrication. Is it better lubrication with your wash media? Like what kind of lubrication are you talking about?
Two ways. So as human beings, we perceive some things as being very lubricated when to the paint they're actually not. Whereas in other cases, you have something that to us might feel like sandpaper, but to the paint is perfectly safe. The original version didn't have that lubricating feel to it. that a lot of people love to feel. So V2 with the new polymers, it has not only the great lubrication that the paint goes, yes, I'm safe, but also for you, when you're using it, your wash media is going to glide a little easier. Your towel is going to glide a little easier, but again, it leaves nothing behind.
Okay, so the perception is going to be increased for lubrication.
Yeah.
And also, like, is there anything as far as, does it clean better? Is it the same for the rest of the formula?
I'd say it cleans maybe 5-10% better.
So know that if you have V1, that's still very good. No need
Yes.
to throw that away. So then when you're done, obviously now you'll be getting this. So the label is the same, it's just the liquid. Is the scent the same? Does this have that green apple scent?
Yeah, same green apple scent.
There's some rinseless washes out there sometimes that have different dilution ratios depending on the use. But what's the dilution ratio for a rinseless wash for this?
256-1.
For glass?
256-1.
Interior?
256-1.
Wheels?
256-1.
Plastics?
256-1.
I think we get it. So 256-1 basically for everything. Clay lubricant?
256-1. Or 4 milliliters to a liter if you prefer.
So can you show us, we want to see the demo now. So let's put this in action. We have 4 gallons of water inside the wash bucket. I know you guys love the clear buckets to see all that dirt go down. So it encapsulates the dirt and settles them down underneath the grit guard. We have the DIY Detail Legacy Sponge. And also we have a wheel and body brush. We have the IK Multi Pro 2. This is a pump sprayer. And you're going to see how Ivan does his dilutions.
So 2 ounces. 4 gallons.
So half an ounce for every gallon of water.
Yeah. And it doesn't need, it's not clumpy, it's not thick.
Yep.
It looks milky, but it isn't. And once it's incorporated in the water, it's incorporated.
Boom, that's it. Dilution's already done.
Yeah, it's not going to clump up or anything like that.
And for all those, and I try to teach the same way for the sprayers, instead of figuring out your dilution ratio for the sprayer, well, because your solution is already ready inside there and fully diluted, all you have to do is to dunk your pump sprayer container. You fill it up, leave a bit of room for air because you're pumping air into it. And this we're going to use as a pre-treat, right? So is it always a good idea with the rinseless wash to pre-treat the vehicle?
100%.
And what does that do?
What it does is it allows the rinseless to start to work, to emulsify, to start breaking down that dirt. Now, this vehicle is dirty. So it's seen a lot of things over the last couple of weeks and we haven't washed it.
Are you feeling confident, Ivan? I'm putting Ivan to the test. As soon as we saw this, I'm telling, well, this is what we're going to use, buddy.
Yeah.
So you're feeling good about it?
Oh yeah, not a problem.
So not an issue. So this is kind of a proof. Obviously the wheels and tires you do first, or glass, whatever you want with the APC, tire cleaner, whatever you guys use. We're going to focus on the paintwork, the glass, of course, because all these bugs and bug guts, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
So over the last 2 weeks, we've been to Prince Edward Island, Canada.
Okay.
And on our way there, our bus had a coolant hose that exploded.
Okay.
Meaning this got soaked in coolant.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's part of what's on there.
So it's a good challenge.
Yeah. Last night, I was driving to go pick something up in the evening and went through clouds of insects.
Well, yeah, I can
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. There's a few. So
you pumped it up until the sprayer does that air pressure release. So now
right.
you know we're fully pressurized. And so you're pre-treating. Can you use the DIY Detail Rinseless Wash in direct sunlight, or is it best in the shade on a cool surface?
always best in the shade on a cool surface, but if you have no choice, yes, you can.
So at the end, if it does leave any polymer spots, they wipe off easily. There's nothing that it streaks or leaves any residue behind.
Exactly.
So you're doing a heavy douse and you're dosing and you're fully covering every square inch of there. How long do you let that dwell normally?
As long as you can.
Okay. So if you work in a controlled environment like this, you can leave it on there for longer, do the entire vehicle.
Yep. And on the bugs, the longer you leave it, the better it is.
And guys, I think I've said this so many times, and Ivan will tell you the same. A rinseless wash doesn't necessarily mean that you never use your garden hose or your pressure washer. It only means that you don't have to rinse at the end of the wash process.
Correct.
You have to use common sense, right? If the vehicle is covered in a layer of thick mud and it's super dirty, just like you would for a traditional wash, you would pre-rinse first. Well, in this case, with the rinseless wash, you do the same. You're not going to bring your wash media directly on a muddy vehicle, right, Ivan?
No. Basically, if you wouldn't take your soapy wash mitt to the vehicle, don't take your rinseless wash media to the vehicle.
There you go.
It's the same thing. And people freak out that the water in the bucket gets dirty. If you didn't have the suds in your soapy water, you'll just see how dirty it is. So when you're done your next wash with the soap and water, let it sit for a couple hours so the suds diminish and everything.
Yes.
And you'll see just what's floating around in there.
Absolutely, I can tell because when I'm done, I use the traditional wash methods.
Yeah.
And when I put them in my white sink over there, when I dump it at the end, it's always dirty.
Yeah.
So it's normal. But in this case, at least, you have the rinseless wash encapsulating all that dirt and debris. So, you're using a brush.
Yes.
This is going to drive people nuts. But it's specially made. It's a wheel and body brush.
Right.
And for the body, it's flag-tipped bristles. But look at how Ivan got the DIY rinseless wash. This is the Legacy sponge. And he's getting it to a point where it's barely dripping, on the verge of dripping. So you don't want to overload or oversaturate. Why is that, Ivan?
Couple things. And
And we can tell, yeah, look at that. That's
a bit of dirt off the surface.
not going to disappear with one dunk. And we have it fully, yeah, there you can see it. That's always a cool magic trick. So yeah, why do you not want to oversaturate the sponge itself or your wash media?
We want the sponge to be absorbent. We want it to lift what we've pre-sprayed on here off of the surface to get it into the sponge. So if your sponge is too wet, it's trying to deposit, it's trying to empty itself basically.
Okay.
But by waiting or getting it so it's just on the verge of dripping like this, now it's actually lifting and picking up the dirt off the surface.
And if you guys haven't seen these sponges in action yet, notice that there are tons of slits and grooves in there. That's where all the dirt gets trapped into the sponge and not onto the surface. So this prevents the scratching and marring during your rinses process. So if you're using the right methods, the right products, the right tools, you're not going to scratch the paint. Don't worry about that. We've covered this extensively already. But note that it's becoming more and more popular, even in the rinseless washes. We were talking about this before the video. In the past 2 years, there's been an explosion in demand because I think more and more people now, either the ones who live in condos or apartments, don't have easy access to water, or a lot of people live in areas now with heavy water restrictions or water bans, right? And that just makes washing their cars almost impossible if they can't have access to free-flowing water from a garden hose or a pressure washer. So this is a very safe alternative if you know what you're doing.
Not only that, for the professional detailer, they shouldn't be using soap. It's an older technology. It's a lot of fun to foam a vehicle.
Yes.
It's fun to get the foam cannon out there and just bathe it in white lather. It's not efficient time-wise. This is much more efficient time-wise. So for a professional detailer, and
Again, yep. Yep.
so I left the grill till last.
You mean this front part? Yeah.
Yeah, and just let me get this here. Now this Jeep, it's Sylvie's Jeep. We're undecided what coating we're putting on this. So we've had it since February.
So there's no protection on there right now.
It's been washed 3 times since we bought it.
Oh.
Yeah, and it spends most of its life behind our bus. So
Or you see practically no beading on there. There's no protection.
yeah, not a, shall we say, friendly environment.
So it would be even better if the rinseless wash was applied to a car that's ceramic coated, for example.
Oh, yes.
So this is kind of an extreme case scenario there for a rinseless wash. Other than if it was a muddy vehicle, obviously you'd pre-rinse, but this is as dirty as it gets there.
Yeah, and this is as dirty as I would do it without rinsing.
Yes.
And we say rinseless, and we should actually change the wording a little bit to rinse less.
I agree.
2 words.
Yes. Yeah, just like the built hammer, for those who know the snow foam is called spotless. It's not that it's 100% contactless. That's why they put touch dash less, because you're touching the vehicle less. It does such a good work at pre-washing the vehicle and removing a lot of it, a lot of the dirt and grime, like 80 to 85%, but you still have to finish with a contact wash. So rinse less in this case is you're rinsing less, especially at the end of the process where you don't have to rinse. This acts as the lubricant on the surface, right? And so you're towel drying the vehicle.
Yeah. And we're letting it dry on the surface, not a big deal. Now we're up to the grill.
Yes.
And let's try with the sponge first, but we may need to use the brush here.
Yes. So even for the brush, I guess the rinseless wash acts as its own lubricant for the tips, right? And if
Yeah.
any bristles.
So you can see it's basically have a wing
Yeah,
here,
those are chunks.
a wing from something, but it's just taking those bugs off quite easily without having to use the brush.
Yes.
But I will need the brush to get into
The intricate honeycomb.
the honeycomb grill.
So two sides to the sponge. Are both, for those who are wondering, there's a black side and a red side. Are both equal or are they differences?
They're identical in terms of foam composition. The only reason we have two colors is to give you a tracking. So you know that, oh, I've done the top half with this side and I'll do the bottom half with that side.
Okay. And I think you're coming out with an improved version of this.
Yes.
And we have maybe some insight for the Pandy Organizer viewers and subscribers as to what is changing for the wash media.
What's changing is, if we look at this one up close, there's actually a piece of fabric between the two.
Yep, can see it.
So we're getting a better type of glue that will allow us to glue foam to foam. So that gluing foam to foam will give us a better or less of a joint here.
Okay.
And some people are concerned about this joint scratching their paint. First of all, you should never use any one of these sides of the sponge, be it ours or anybody else's.
Okay.
The slits are there for a couple of reasons. Like you said, to absorb or bring the dirt in between them.
Yes.
The other reason that they're there, though, is for surface tension. So this allows it to conform to the surface better. Whereas if you're using this or an uncut surface, it's more rigid, you're creating pressure points.
Absolutely.
So this basically softens this surface to allow it to contour much better.
And for anyone who, let's say, it's all a question of personal preference, but say some people prefer using a microfiber wash mitt or the multiple microfiber wash towels kind of thing, is that okay with the DIY rinseless wash too?
By all means.
So they can use whatever wash media they prefer.
Yeah. Now on the plastic bumper, it sounds horrendous, but it's actually not scratching. It's not doing...
Yeah, it's just like a standard matte kind of.
Yeah.
So that Detail factory brush, by the way, has the feathered tips, and it's made for the body as well. So it's made to be very gentle on the surfaces.
And it gets into areas that we can't get into with the sponge.
So a Jeep is made for adventures, and clearly you've been on a nice adventure. Well, that's what it's all about. It's enjoying road trips, enjoying life,
Yeah,
and
and
we get to clean, because this is the fun part too for us car detailing enthusiasts out there. We love doing this stuff.
Jeeps, no.
Jeeps less, yeah, I guess.
They have so many little nooks and, you know, it looks like,
I would go crazy doing that, I have to admit. If it was my car there, yeah.
yeah. You know, they look like a small enough vehicle. There's not a lot there. They're relatively flat. You couldn't be farther from the
No,
truth. And they have all these cracks and crevices that the brush is really good at getting into. So.
yes. So see now, on this surface here, we're seeing that it's starting to dry, and that shouldn't be an issue.
No, not at all. So we use our drying towel. We don't,
This is the DIY Detail.
yeah, the DIY Detail drying blanket.
Yep. So
So-
microfiber, very soft.
Yeah,
So it acts as its own drying aid. You don't have to add anything on there.
no.
But if you do want to add even more lubrication, can you use the DIY rinseless wash in a spray bottle and spray that away?
You can, you
What
can,
dilution ratio?
256 to 1. You can also use ceramic gloss,
Yes.
quick beads, or C6 mist.
Yes, and by the way, I have been testing this. Let me grab it so you guys can see it. This here, so you can use it on dry surface. You can use it on a wet surface, as in this case, as a drying lubricant or a drying aid, or as a spray-on rinse-off kind of adding protection to the your wash process. So this is going to boost the gloss, boost the slickness, and add just a tad smidge of protection. But this is not made for long term, right? I can see.
No, it's designed specifically for ceramic coated vehicles. If your vehicle isn't ceramic coated, by all means, use it.
You can tell here, other than the stone chips, this is perfectly clean. Nothing on there.
Still a few bug remains, but I could have scrubbed a little harder.
Yeah, so you can do a bit of mechanical agitation.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, for look at how better this looks compared to where we were.
Yeah, and this isn't a well-maintained, pristine vehicle. Before we had it, it was a long-term lease vehicle that had been through 3 long-term leases.
So what year is this?
21.
So it has like 3 years, down the
Of Montreal car washes.
and rolled solid 2000.
Yeah.
So the windshield, this is mainly the pitting over time that happens, with very, very few bug guts left, and this is like a more of an extreme case scenario for her rinseless.
Yeah.
Can you use, so for those who do have a lot of bugs and bug guts,
Yeah.
can you use a bug remover before the rinse process? And if so, how can you combine both? How would you do the process if a person has, like we have here, caked on bugs all over the place?
Yeah, so we just use all clean, diluted 15:1, foam it on, let it sit a minute or 2, then ideally rinse it away.
Rinse it?
Yeah.
With just water?
Just water.
Okay.
Or a pressure washer if you have one.
Or whatever bug remover that you guys have.
Yeah.
So start pre-treating the surface, let it dwell a bit, soften those bug guts up, rinse it off, and then do the rinseless process as we did. So pre-treat with a rinseless wash, and then use the wash media to actually clean the vehicle. So there's a lot of the steps and principles that are identical to the traditional wash. It's the type of liquid that's in there and the chemistry behind it that's different, but the principles always stay the same. You want to work from top to bottom.
Yeah.
You want to have that grit guard in your bucket. You want to use safe washing and drying methods. And as Ivan said, even though you could technically do this in direct sunlight, for the best user experience, it's always, always best to work in the shade on a cool surface. So what I tell my viewers, Ivan, is to either do it very early in the morning, or if you're like me, you're not a morning person, do it as late in the day as possible.
Yeah.
If you're working outside, never during the noon hours where the sun is at its hottest and brightest.
No, exactly. We did a video a couple of weeks ago where we waited specifically till 11 in the morning. It was 28 degrees Celsius outside, hot, humid day to wash a car and prep it for ceramic coating. But that was an extreme case, and we don't recommend it to anyone.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can tell the end results here, nice, glossy, clean,
Yeah.
and whatever's there for the rest, those are just paint defects or chips or...
Yeah. Bird bomb etchings, things like that.
Exactly. Let's show here so people can watch. See, with the brush and the grills, that definitely helped a lot, because here there's not much a wash media can do. This is, you need mechanical agitation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did a great job. Here on the bumper where there was so many of them, look at that. It's pretty much all gone. So great demo. So V2 of the rinseless wash, you guys saw this firsthand from the horse's mouth. So we got the gallon size, we got the 16-ounce format, and again, if you had V1, it's this translucent color. V2, the label is the same, it's just you're getting this milky yellow appearance, but it's the same scent. You're getting the same type of great product, just with improved lubrication, a tiny bit more cleaning capacity. But if you have V1, don't throw it in the garbage.
No.
Right? It's still
No,
good.
it's still a great product. Don't try to run through it to get V2. You don't have a shall we say a surpassed product. It's still a great product. Be wary of it. Use it. Then when you can, switch to V2.
And there you go. Cool. So I'll leave the links again to all this stuff in the description under the video. And Ivan, once again, always a good friend. I know my viewers love having you here for all the knowledge. This guy's been in the business for over 40 years. We like to share our knowledge and passion with all this stuff. So you guys saw the demo. If you used it, by the way, let us know in the video description. How do you like it? I know there's a lot of fans, Ivan, of the DIY rinseless wash. And this is an improvement on an already great technology. So keep it tight, keep it clean, and we'll see all of you in the next one.